What's up, guys? I'm going to try and give you the greatest, most concise, to the point pool school that you've ever had. I'm going to do it quickly. So I'm going to start out with most important, and at the end of the video, it's going to be the least important stuff. So do not fast forward right now. All right, first of all, the most important thing that you need to know about your chlorine pool is the relationship between cyanuric acid and chlorine. In order for your chlorine to work properly in your pool, your cyanuric acid levels should be somewhere between 30 and 50 parts per million. As long as they're below 100, you're probably going to be fine. But if your cyanuric acid levels are too low, then the sun will eat the chlorine out of the pool. If the cyanuric acid levels are too high, the chlorine won't work at all. When you buy traditional chlorine tablets and traditional shock that's stabilized, that is going to include cyanuric acid. So what you need to know is that the word stabilizer is the same as the word cyanuric acid when you buy pool chemicals. Stabilizer and cyanuric acid is the same thing. The reason it's important to know that is because you only want a certain amount of cyanuric acid in the pool, and the cyanuric acid doesn't wear off, doesn't disappear on its own. So when you're buying your pool supplies, you're going to want to buy a small amount of traditional chlorine tablets and a small amount of traditional shock so that you can establish your cyanuric acid levels. Because traditional chlorine tablets include stabilizer, which is cyanuric acid, and traditional shock includes cyanuric acid. So you want to buy small amounts of those just so that you can establish your pool's cyanuric acid levels in the beginning. Once your cyanuric acid levels are where you want them to be, you want to be chlorinating your pool and shocking your pool using calcium hypochlorite, okay? Don't buy traditional shock, traditional chlorine tablets to use on a regular basis. Purchase calcium hypochlorite shock and calcium hypochlorite tablets, which are also called NST tablets or non-stabilized tablets. You're going to want a bunch of that stuff. That's what you're going to use on a regular basis, okay? In addition to that, you're going to need to keep plenty of muriatic acid on hand, okay? You can buy that very affordably at like a Home Depot or Lowe's. I wouldn't buy that at a pool supply, okay? You're going to need to keep Alkalinity Increaser on hand. I would recommend buying that on Amazon. By the way, Alkalinity Increaser, what it does is it brings the pool to a more base level as opposed to acid level, okay? And as far as what the chemical is, it's just baking soda. It's just a fancy way of, I believe it's sodium bicarbonate. Yeah, so sodium bicarbonate is the substance. You can buy 50-pound bags on Amazon very affordably. Don't buy it for a ton of money otherwise. It's just a cheap chemical. But you'll need that. And you'll need a bit of calcium hardness increaser. You won't need that frequently. So the most common chemicals that you're going to need is going to be calcium hypochlorite in the form of tablets as well as in the form of shock. The second most common thing that you're going to need is probably going to be muriatic acid. You'll use that regularly. Third, you're going to need traditional chlorine tablets and some traditional shock in the beginning, but buy small portions of that because you're not going to want to use that regularly. By the way, on your tablets, your NST tablets, which are also called your non-stabilized tablets, which are also called your calcium hypochlorite tablets, do not put those in the chlorine feeder of your pool. Those need to go in the skimmer. They will damage the tubes from your chlorine feeder. Okay? You really won't be using the chlorine feeder that often unless you want your cyanuric acid levels to get out of control. And if that happens, you have to either drain the pool or you have to use a biological agent that eats up the acid. Either of those are expensive and a pain in the butt, so let's avoid that. If you have questions, please put them below. I kept this to, looks like 4 minutes, 20 seconds. Did my best, guys. Have a good day.